right, welcome. February 26th, Thursday. We got a lot of good earnings this afternoon. Not any really to talk about tomorrow morning, but there are some really good movers for this afternoon. Potential movers, I should say. Some that score pretty high on the EL score metric. So without further ado, let's get right into it and take a look at the deep dive for this afternoon. If anyone got Sezzle this morning or Celsius and was able to sell those calls early, 4 puts, PSTG puts, my Celsius and my PSTG strangles paid off pretty well for me. I sold at a good time this morning. Did not get Sezzle, unfortunately, but for those of you that did, very good job. Pat yourself on the back for that. So let's take a look at this afternoon. We got some spicy ones this afternoon. If we want to, we can let's look at the top candidates really quick. Duolingo, Elastic, Ambarella. Under my Ambarella, that one's reporting this afternoon too. So we got 3 pretty good EL score stocks to talk about this afternoon. But as always during these lives, we're going to look at everything. Sezzle wasn't on that list yesterday, but we still looked at it, and that 70 call was pretty hot. So here are the ones this afternoon. We'll start with Duolingo, since everyone loves to trade Duolingo. The question gets asked often, but why is a translation app $117? I don't know. We don't question things when it comes to that kind of thing, though. If you look at the price to earnings for Duolingo, it's pretty good. I want to say it's around like 14 or 15 at the current EPS and the current share price. So something to keep in mind if you're bearish. Keep that in mind. The price to earnings ratio is very attractive for shareholders when it comes to Duolingo. Other than that, amazing EL score. It's one of the best EarningsLottos stocks of all time. It's right up there with MongoDB. And as you can see, the strikes are hot. One thing to keep in mind looking at these strikes. So when I do EL scores, I base everything off of a 10% move, up or down. It's important to know with the high EL scored stocks to get within that 10% range. You can go out of the 10% a little bit. You can go 11%, 12, maybe even 15% out of the money. But it makes sense to pay up for stocks like this. That's why when we see these high liquidity strangle contracts, people are buying the $5 contracts for the 125 strike calls, and it looks like they're also buying these $3 105 puts. So other traders are aware of the fact that Duolingo makes these strong 10% moves consistently, and as such, they are paying up for these strike prices, as you can see. So if you are bearish on Duolingo, I would not go lower than 98 maybe, something like that. But like I said, it makes sense to pay up. So if you really are serious about trading earnings and you're serious about putting yourself in the best situations, yes, amazing day for earnings. But don't let that get to your head, but focus on the high EL scored stocks. Focus on the ones that consistently move. Don't gamble on stocks that may move. We'll look at some of the narrative intel a little later. And we'll probably find 1 or 2 of those that probably don't have a high EL score, but they're going to move just based off of their narrative. Duolingo, fantastic strangle. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take the 125 call. I'm going to take the 105p. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to set it and forget it. Are they 320s? No, they're weeklies. So actually what I'm going to do, and this is my personal strategy for Thursdays. Everyone has their own different idea. If it's a Thursday, I'm buying next week expiration regardless. So I'll probably go like 127, maybe even a 130. I'll probably go 130. That's what I'll probably do. 130 call for next week. And then the put, you know what? I'm bullish on Duolingo. So the put, I'll probably get the 227. I'll probably get like one contract at the 227, 105p, just to hedge my next week calls, right? So that's what I'm going to do. Without even looking at the strikes or without even looking at the chain right now, I'll tell you, I'm going to get the 130 call for next week, and I'll probably get the 105, maybe the 100p for next week. Maybe I'll do that, a little out of the money. So Duolingo, fantastic play. Let's look at the narrative intel. Amazing. I mean, this pretty much matches what Axon had and what Sezzle had. So it has a good growth metric as far as narrative torque. We got the fire emoji. Guidance re-rate is there for us. I like Duolingo. I like the calls in Duolingo. Elastic, it's a tech company here, another tech company. Elastic used to be like, I want to say in one of the quarters, we were buying like 100 call strikes and that kind of thing for earnings. So Elastic has kind of like bled over the past maybe like year and a half. Elastic scares me. There was one quarter, Elastic makes these really crazy earnings moves. It'll pop pre-market. So like literally like 9:25 a.m. It'll do these crazy, like it'll pop and then in 2 minutes it'll drop or whatever. It makes some crazy moves. Keep in mind if you're gonna play Elastic, I think it only has monthlies. Yeah, it's only got monthlies anyway. So if you do get Elastic, again, because it's a high EL scored stock, pay up for closer to the money. And hold your contracts. If you're going to play something like Elastic, you have to understand that it's going to take more than just a day or two for this to play out. That's why it makes those weird, wild moves in the past. It only has monthlies. So something to keep in mind with Elastic. I don't like these strikes at all. The 85 call, 70 cents, like those, that 38% out of the money, that's way too ambitious for me. That scares me away. A lot of that volume, a lot of that open eye or that open interest, that OI, it's probably on the bid. It's probably sold. The put, the 60 put, like that looks way more attractive. Like this looks like people are leaning bearish on Elastic for sure. I don't really know exactly. I think they're, what are they involved in? Like, I don't know. I think they're involved in like Elasticsearch. I don't really know what that is. I know it's a tech company. I feel like if you do some DD, you might end up down some like Reddit rabbit holes about Elasticsearch, different competitors and that kind of thing. But for me, just looking at this right off the bat, it looks bearish, but nothing really stands out to me as an attractive volume over open interest or anything. So I'll probably fade Elastic, even though it does have a fantastic EL score. It's 93. It's made 7 out of the last 8 quarters. It's gone over 10% either up or down. So it is a fantastic play. If you are in that, if you're a techie, if you're in that world and you understand Elasticsearch, you understand some of these companies and what they do. Like we talked about yesterday, I'm a Celsius drinker. I bought a Celsius this morning in celebration, and so you trade what you know. You trade what you know. You trade what you like in your lifestyle. So Elastic is an option for sure. Although I'm personally going to fade. When I say I'm going to fade, like don't take that as gospel. If you guys have conviction on stuff, take it. I'm only here to show you the data. Oftentimes, what I will do personally is I put all this data together, right? I put the website live, and then in my lizard brain, will even look at that and go, you know what? I'm going to do something else. And so that's when like your just psychology kind of takes over. So I'm not like a crazy professional here. I'm just gathering the data for us and presenting it. It's up to you to have conviction. It's up to you to actually pull the trigger on stuff. So Elastic is one. Amba, I love Ambarella. Ambarella has treated me very well in the past. And also it's fun to sing. You can sing under your Ambarella if you want. Narrative intel, not great. I don't like this. That is not good. It does have a volatile narrative torque, so this was kind of similar to, I want to say it was 4 that kind of had something similar, but I do not like that caution sign for the narrative intel at all. We can look at the strikes here, and yeah, that kind of like solidifies it. I don't like these strikes at all. The 95 call, way too out of the money, 35% out of the money, 16 cents a contract. Those are sold. The 52 put, 26% out of the money, 25 cents. Like these are sold too. I don't like any of that. Without even looking at like the rest of the options chain, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna fade Ambarella. Same thing with Elastic. They're good EL scored stocks. Ambarella is involved in semiconductors and that kind of thing. If you have some sort of narrative play there in mind, if you have some conviction with Ambarella and semiconductors, trade it. But right off the bat, just looking at these numbers, I personally don't like it, so I'm going to fade it myself. Oop, we lost where we are. So I'm going to fade it myself. But again, like I said, doesn't mean you should fade it. Listen to your heart. We have Innodata, which is kind of this is a strange one. So it's a cheaper price stock, right? It's under $50. So a 10% move with something under $50 is going to be obviously less than $5 in either direction. So we're probably looking at like a 52 call. My cat is being crazy. 52 call, or we're probably looking at like a 43p or something like that. So keep that in mind with Innodata. Narrative Intel is good on Innodata, on INOD. It doesn't have the biggest or the best growth metric here, but the moon emoji shows us that this thing could move if it gets some good guidance, if it gets some good numbers. Attractive liquidity strangle, really, to be honest. The 50 call priced at $2.75, $2.75. 5% out of the money. We got the 44p, 7.5% out of the money. These are good. These look like strangles to me. These look like people are buying the 50 call. They're also buying the 44p probably. So I like Innodata as a strangle. It's like I said earlier, it's a little cheaper than what I personally like. So I'm probably not going to trade it. But these are great. This setup is a great setup to me. This shows me that other traders are anticipating some sort of move in INOD, Innodata. So not a bad one at all. I wouldn't knock it. Great EL score. Anything over 60 is attractive to me, is good. 6 out of the last 8 quarters, it's gone over 10% up or down. Kind of a tiny float, 30 million shares. So this thing can move. If it gets good guidance, even if it gets bad guidance, either way, this thing can move. It's on skates, as I like to say. INOD, we have Laser or Enlight. Don't know anything about these guys. It looks like they do fiber lasers for, it looks like they're involved in like defense, contractors maybe. It looks like they do a little semiconductor work. $60, $61 a share. So you're looking at like a $6 move up or down. Narrative Intel, not the greatest narrative Intel here. Anytime you see a caution sign, that kind of implies that you want to shy away from it a little bit. But lasers are cool. So if you're into lasers, this one might be a cool one for you. That's not a bad looking liquidity strangle there. The 70 call getting some attention, 13% out of the money. That's pricey. If you want to spend up for $5 a contract, go for it. And then the 55p, like these look like people are anticipating either a move up or a move down. A pretty meaningful move up or meaningful move down. So Laser, not a bad one at all. Laser and INOD, I'd kind of lump those in the same category right now. If you got money to burn, if you made money this morning off of a play, maybe look at Laser or INOD. I would look at those over AMBA and Elastic, to be completely honest. Famous last words. Sunrun, a cheapie. This is a cheapie. They're a solar energy play. Actually, that was my first job out of college, was doing solar energy marketing for a company that no longer exists. But the solar energy industry is really strange. There's a lot of weird. It's no one really knows how to market solar. The only way they market solar is someone who comes up to you and goes, "Oh, your roof looks like it needs to be repaired. How about we slap on some solar panels for you?" So solar is kind of a weird technology, but Sunrun itself, I want to say I think there's Vivint was doing a lot of solar, and then Vivint went to like more home security. So I don't know if Sunrun is kind of doing the same thing, but just something to know. Good narrative intel here. We got the fire emoji. That's always great. 26% growth, pretty good. This is a cheaper stock, right? It's it's just under $20 a share. So keep that in mind, but those can still move. We see Zeta had like a good 2 or 3 day move. I think it went up to like 1830 or something like that this morning. My 1750 call for March 20th is golden. So Sunrun, we got the 20 call here, $1.25. We got the 19p. This looks like to me people are buying the 20 and they're buying the 19 to hedge probably. I don't really have, like I said, I was involved in solar years ago. So I shy away from a lot of solar plays now. Enphase might be the only one that I kind of dabble in because it's a decently high EL scored earnings stock. And it's solar related, but Enphase and First Solar are probably the only two that I dabble in. But if you like the cheaper stocks, Sunrun is a really good option for today. I wouldn't knock it at all. I like this liquidity strangle. I think it would work if you were into the cheapies. Massimo, I don't know anything about this company. MASI, looks like they do a little healthcare, non-healthcare. It looks like they're in healthcare maybe. Narrative Intel is good. Yeah, so they do medical devices and that kind of thing. We got good narrative intel here. We have not a lot going on as far as options contracts. It looks like not a ton of liquidity. This 125p is a little interesting. I would imagine people are buying this 125p. Healthcare stocks make some really weird, wild moves every once in a while. I mean, you guys know UNH did a crazy thing a few quarters ago. But just recently, like DaVita made good moves, Tenet Healthcare made good moves. So there is something to be said with healthcare stocks. They make some really wild swings every once in a while. So keep an eye on this 125p. It's a little pricey. It's not anywhere near like what I would consider a lotto. What I consider lotto pricing are like $1.40 to $1.60 maybe per contract. So it's a little pricey, but I like the volume. And I like the OI. This to me tells me probably, based on the contract price, probably they're bought. But that's really far out of the money, 28%. So something to keep in mind, but they're monthlies. So healthcare, if you were bearish healthcare, maybe gamble a little on a 125p. It might work for you. Who knows? Globant, Mazzy, they got bought out. Okay, so I didn't know that about Mazzy. All right, don't play Mazzy. They got bought out. Off my list. But that 125p is a little weird. It's a little interesting. You can't argue with that. That's weird. Globe. We'll look at Glob or Globant. Glob me up next. This one of my best besides SNPS. I think it was like I don't know when it was when Glob did that, but it tanked one quarter. Took maybe like 2 contracts worth maybe $200 total. Cashed the next morning for like 8,000. So Glob is a really good play. I'll say it was a good play. Over the past few quarters, it hasn't really moved much. That's why it's at four moves over 10% out of the last 8 quarters. I want to say when I was doing this kind of data like months ago, maybe even like half a year ago, Glob would have been like 6 moves out of 8. Would have been like 7 moves out of 8. So it's probably been for like the past consecutive 3 or 4 quarters where Glob just like has chopped. It hasn't made a 10% move, and that makes sense, right? Because look at the current price of a Glob share. It's $46. So a 10% move up is 50. A 10% move down is 42. So Glob is there as an option. Like I said, previous banger. I'm just not sure if I have the same sort of confidence in it now. But narrative intel is good, right? We always like to see the moon. We have a good guidance re-rate on it. It looks like they have an AI services angle for Glob. I like saying Glob, but it's Globant is the company, but Glob is just fun to say. And I like these. I like the contracts that it's putting together for us. I like the 55 call. That's pretty far out of the money. Actually, I would say looking at these, they're probably buying the 45p and selling the 55, or they're buying the 55 as a hedge for the 45p. So I think with this, you see the volume over open interest, $3 a contract. I would almost bet that 45p are bought. And then I can't really tell if the 55 call is bought or sold, but it being that far out of the money and that contract price being like $1.70. I would say there's a good chance that they're probably bought just to be hedges. So Glob is definitely an option. I wouldn't say it's a must play, but it's something. It reminds me of something like Sezzle. It's that kind of. It's still got a pretty good EL score, pretty good technical metrics. I want to say the share float is pretty small, 42 million shares in the float. So Glob can definitely move. This thing can be on skates if it wants to. But keep in mind, the 45p is the strongest contract shown here, right? It's less than 5% out of the money. So 45p, I like that for Glob and hedging it with the 55 call. I might do that just for old time's sake. So far, I think I like, what did we say? I liked the Duolingo I'm definitely doing. So Duolingo and Glob, I kind of like for some reason. We can look at some of these ones. Dell, we'll look at Dell really quick. There was one quarter I traded Dell calls and NTAP calls at the same time. Both companies popped. I think it was on a Friday. Both popped. That was a really good trade. But Dell since then has definitely been off my radar. I know people like to short Dell. But to be honest, for me, it's not something that I'm gonna absolutely play, or it's not a must play for me. But Dell is an option. We got good narrative intel here. We got good growth, 33% growth. Let's see. We got Nvidia hardware sympathy. So Nvidia had really great numbers yesterday, yesterday afternoon. Although the stock didn't really react as well. And also, what did we talk about yesterday with Nvidia? No chance that was going to make a 10% move either way. So if you traded Nvidia 10% out of the money either way, I'm really sorry. You should have watched the live stream yesterday where we talked about not to trade Nvidia. Regardless, I digress. Dell, it can move off of those Nvidia numbers. Nothing really standing out to me with the liquidity strangle right here. Maybe the 130 call looks good. Maybe people are buying the 130 call, and they're also buying the 114p just to hedge, or they're selling the 114p. But to be honest, I don't really care enough to kind of like dive into that and find out exactly. And if you see both of those strikes are within 10% up or down. So Dell is an option. Not the best EL score. It's got a C- on grade. Only 3 times in the last 8 quarters has it moved over 10% in a direction up or down. So for me, it is a fade. Excuse me. But if you have conviction, like we always say, if you have conviction on Dell, then trade it. Don't let me shy you away from it. The numbers are here. The metrics are actually not terrible on Dell, right? We got a fire emoji for the narrative intel, and we have a few moves over 10%, so not completely bad. Compass, too cheap, fade. Sweet Green this thing got roasted. This thing got roasted over the past, 2 years or so, and I can't remember the last time I went to Sweet Green. This is a Kava household. We go to Kava. But Sweet Green, fade that. Zscaler, this is interesting. Anytime I was thinking about the security type stuff, so I don't know if anyone has paid attention to like the Claude news over the past week or so, but Claude has been coming out with these news pieces talking about cybersecurity and how Claude can kind of like take over that's not maybe just like a little sector, but just kind of take over that little piece. So like there were a lot of cybersecurity stocks that kind of took a dip. IBM, I know, took a decent dip intraday one time. So Zscaler being a cybersecurity stock, that's something to keep in mind. Their numbers are not going to reflect anything with Claude, right? Just because that was a kind of a new revelation. But what could be affected is in a guidance. So when the CEO comes on and talks about their numbers and talks about future guidance, that's where they could kind of drop some things about, if they're scared of Claude, or if they see Claude and Anthropic and like if they see AI as like a threat to their business model. So something to keep in mind. I'm not going to trade ZS. I've just had bad luck with it personally in the past. Interesting liquidity strangle. Nothing really stands out about it to me. These are too far out of the money. The 190 call, way too far out. 140p, too far out. I don't like the prices of these contracts either. I'd rather spend up a little bit more just to avoid buying into a contract that people are selling on the bid. So ZS, I'm probably going to fade. Not the best move history. 2 times over the last 8 quarters. 8 quarters is 2 years. So in the past 2 years, it's only gone over 10% twice on an earnings report. So not the best consistent history of ZS. But there's a narrative there with that Claude AI type stuff. AAOI, I don't like the narrative. We're going to pass that. Let's look at Rocket Lab. Rockets are fun. We like going to space and building rockets. So Rocket Lab, decent EL score. Not good, not great. Kind of like middling. 3 moves over 8, or 3 moves out of 8 quarters over 10% up or down. We have a good narrative intel here. And Rocket Lab is involved in a lot of like defense contractors type stuff. So there's a good narrative here. right? We have a moon emoji, which is good. We have good 34% growth. That's good. Nothing is shying me away quite yet, except for the contract prices on these strikes. So 18.5% out of the money for the 85 call. That's 29 cents. I don't like that. Just looking at these, there has to be better strikes on the chain. Like maybe the 80 call is more attractive. Maybe the what's the share price at right now? We're at 70. So maybe the 65p is more attractive. But just seeing what we pulled up, I don't like any of these. I'm going to shy away. But I also don't have conviction in this company. I don't trade the stock a lot. So if you're someone that trades Rocket Lab a lot, or you trade AST Space Mobile a lot, which reports next week, then maybe this is an option for you. And that's something to keep in mind too. So like we talked about with IonQ and QUBT, I think it was QUBT. It was D-Wave, I think, one of the QBTS, one of the quantums, two of the quantums they reported this week. There's a narrative there, right? Put yourself into the mind of you in the future. You're watching CNBC and they're going, well, Rocket Lab reported last week and these were its numbers. AST Space Mobile reported that. So, keep that in mind. There's a narrative there. The talking heads on TV are going to want to talk about Rocket Lab when AST reports next week. So, something to keep in mind. But I don't like these, so I'm going to fade it myself. We got NTAP. Such a frustrating one on earnings. Like I said, I hit it one time really well, and so I've been kind of chasing it ever since. I don't think I'm going to chase it this week, though. Let's see how many moves. Two out of the last 8 quarters, it's moved over 10% up or down. I was lucky enough to be involved in one of those. We have a good narrative intel here for NTAP. It's got good torque. They do AI store, I guess it's AI storage adjacency, so they're adjacent to AI storage. These strike prices are interesting to me. I kind of like this. I like the 110 call being within 10% of the current share price. I like the $2 price for a contract. That to me tells me that they're probably bought. And I also like the put side, the 95p being bought probably at 283. 500 contracts bought or sold today, over only 176 that were open. So there's activity on the 95p for today for NTAP. To me, this looks like it's leaning bearish, but I can't say either way. I always personally strangle, but I skew to the side where I think it's going to go. No, we haven't hit CoreWeave yet. We're going to hit CoreWeave soon. So NTAP, I like the put here. 95p is attractive. I'm going to put that on like my maybe list. Definitely my maybe list. Oh, look at that. What a good timing. CoreWeave. Not the best EL score. 2 out of the last 8 quarters, it's gone over 10% up or down. So keep that in mind for CoreWeave people. We do have a good narrative intel here. CoreWeave is very involved in data center and kind of like AI cloud infrastructure and that kind of thing. So it's in a hot sector. It's in a talked about kind of sector. Good narrative intel, like I said. Man, I do not like these liquidity strangle prices. The 60p getting the most volume. 39% out of the money, expiring tomorrow. Like, these are definitely sold. That's crazy. 14,000 contracts were bought or sold today. Over 6,000 that were chilling there on the open interest. So to me, CoreWeave looks up, which sucks for me personally because I bet down on CoreWeave and CRM for earnings pick'em. I already got roasted on CRM. Please, earnings God, do not let me get roasted on CoreWeave. But if I do, that's fine. So CoreWeave looks up to me. I like the 105 call here. If you're in puts on CoreWeave, get maybe one contract of the 105 call just to cover yourself. That's all I would recommend. But to me, this looks like a small to mid move up. I don't see this like popping or dropping crazy. unfortunately for the core weavers. So something to keep in mind. Yeah, my L Lotto bucks are just bleeding my EL bucks. It's all good though. It's all in fun. All right, so that was core weave. A fade for me just because I don't like those prices. Intuit. This is giving me PTSD because I still need to do my taxes and I always use TurboTax. And I hate it, honestly, because TurboTax is so expensive, but that's bullish for the stock, honestly. It's got a terrible move history. One quarter or out of the last 8, it's made a 10% move up or down. Good narrative intel, decent growth, but I don't like. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so this liquidity strangle is really interesting. I mean, it's really close to the money, right? Like the put is 2.5% out of the money. The 420. Everyone knows that Wall Street loves the 420 strike. I don't know. Well, I think I might know why, but Wall Street loves the 420 strike. And so that looks interesting to me. It looks like people are buying the 420 on Intuit. They're probably buying the 382.50 to hedge, but this is not a stock that I have conviction in, nor that I like. So I'm going to fade it. But if you, like we said earlier, if you have conviction in this, if you think there's something crazy coming with tax season, or I don't know, if you know something that I don't know, feel free to trade it. But I do not like. The only thing I don't like, to be honest, with Into is just the moves out of 10%. It's only done it once in the past 2 years. So for me, that's not enough for me to put my own money on that trade. MP Materials, $60. Looks like they do rare earth. I don't have a logo. They do rare earth processing. Blah, blah, blah. MP. We got good narrative intel on MP. Yeah, they do like strategic metals and rare earths. I wonder if they're involved in gold. I don't think they're involved in gold. I want to say they're probably more like, like electric vehicle type stuff. So maybe lithium. I don't know. I'm not really like an EV guy, so I don't really know what goes into making EVs. But nothing attractive about the liquidity strangle here to me. 65 call, 45 cents, 47p, way too far out of the money. 47p is probably being sold, so I don't really like MP. And again, it's only got 2 moves out of 8 over 10%. XYZ, so Block, I personally like this company just fundamentally. I like Jack Dorsey. I'm a Jack Dorsey stan. And so I like XYZ myself. I'll probably trade, well, not probably, I will trade XYZ. I actually currently have the March 20th 60 call. So I'm going to trade XYZ, but that's only because I like the company and I had conviction in it. It doesn't have the best move history, right? 3 times out of the last 8 quarters, it's made a move 10% up or down. But like I said, I have conviction in this company, and so therefore I will trade it. I like the narrative intel here. It has a potential for a guidance re-rate. So if we have good guidance, if Jack Dorsey gets on that call tonight and he talks about some good numbers and some good future numbers, XYZ could move. The one thing to keep in mind with XYZ, it does have kind of a pretty beefy float. Nothing compared to like Nvidia or anything, so don't get scared in that regard. But 530 million shares, that's not really like what we want to focus on for earnings companies. Like the best earnings stocks have the smaller floats, so like 100 million shares and below. MongoDB is like 16 million. Duolingo, I want to say is, well, we looked at it, I think it was 30 million maybe. Restoration Hardware, that's a really good one. That has maybe around like 13 million. Dave, which reports next week, that's another really low float option. So we like the low floats. They can those are the ones that can move the best. So XYZ, not the smallest float. I don't like this liquidity strangle. The 65 call being this cheap and expiring tomorrow with this amount of volume over OI tells me they're probably being sold. The 50p, this tells me they're probably being bought. So it doesn't look like traders are expecting the biggest move for XYZ. But like I said, I personally have a 60 call for March. And so I personally, like, I don't really like buying 0 days till expirations contracts. That's not my style. I usually buy next week or like monthlies. So everything aside, I have the 60 call for March 20th, but I don't think this looks like a very strong earnings lottos play. Just something that I personally have conviction in, so I have it. Talon Energy, no moves over 10% in the last 2 years, so immediately that's off my list. Really good narrative intel here, though, right? Like the 55% growth is good. They're into AI, they're into data centers, which is a hot sector. The put is getting a lot of activity here. I don't really like these volume and open interest numbers. There's not a lot of liquidity probably in the chain. But that 514 volume over 14 OI, that's attractive. And it's 2% out of the money. Those contracts are pricey. It's $11 a contract. So something to keep in mind, but people are definitely buying these Talon puts, it looks like. I will not be one of those. And I would probably recommend you guys not to do that as well. We have Grinder, kind of a cheaper stock. We all know what Grinder is. But Grinder, the Grinder app, Grinder and like Match, MTCH, Bumble, BMBL, like all these dating apps, they can make weird moves every once in a while. I don't think they have in a while. I think Bumble was the last one that kind of made like a weird move. Match has been really disappointing on earnings recently. Grinder, I would suggest to fade this. I wouldn't even think about this stock. 3 moves out of the last 8, it's gone 10% up or down. Good narrative intel, right? Like they have good potential for growth here. I just don't know anything about that world. And so I will be fading it because I don't have conviction in this stock, but it's an option. It's too cheap. Like I would say that right off the bat, it's just too cheap a stock. I don't like the liquidity strangle that's being brought up here. These contracts are too cheap. They're within this one's not, the 10p is out of the money, but they're too cheap for me, and so therefore I fade. I would suggest you guys fade it as well, unless you use Grinder, then maybe buy it, but I'm gonna fade it. Ava Technologies, fade. Autodesk, good narrative intel on Autodesk, but no moves in the last 2 years over 10% up or down. So fade Autodesk. That's what I'm going to be doing. This is interesting. People are buying the 247.50 for Autodesk. It expires tomorrow, but this volume over open interest, 778 over 13, that's crazy. That definitely means that people came in today to buy these contracts. So keep that in mind. If you like Autodesk and you're a techie or kind of like a designer type person, 247.50 call for $300, that might be right down your alley. These 200Ps being at 70 cents, expiring tomorrow, those to me look like they're sold. So Autodesk definitely looks like a bullish move up. I like the 247.50 here. That looks interesting. Actually very interesting with that 778 over 13. Autodesk, we got, that's not Figma, ignore that. SMR, we got NuScale, SMR nuclear play, a little too cheap for me, not enough moves over 10%. We're running out of time. Rocket, Morgan's, there's Monster. So we had Celsius yesterday, now we have Monster today. This is a crazy chart. I mean, this is only a 90-day chart, but look at this 90-day chart. Like Monster has just been grinding up. What, it started 90 days ago, 75. Now it's at, we're at like 86. So actually, it's like a $10 move in 90 days. Not too crazy, but it's got a pretty big float. So that kind of makes sense to me when I look at that. So 694 million shares. That's a pretty beefy float. I'm going to fade Monster, especially off the heels of Celsius. I think that energy drink thing is kind of done as far as earnings this week. Monster's an option. If you're buying Monster energy drinks every day, maybe, well, you should have gotten some Celsius is what you should have gotten. But, and what I mean by that is you should have gotten some Celsius calls. But Monster, definitely there. It's an option. We got Rocket League or Rocket Company. I almost said Rocket League, but Rocket Companies, Rocket Mortgage. I don't think people have good experience with Rocket Mortgage. It's very cheap, under $20 a share. Terrible EL score. 2 moves out of 8 quarters over 10%. Good narrative intel here. We have pretty decent growth. There are no mortgages, obviously, like we said. I I just don't like this. I just don't like these cheaper contracts. So if you're into that, maybe get some of the puts. I kind of like this this put number. 11,000 contracts were bought or sold, over 6,000 that were chilling there before. So maybe go for the put there. Rocket Mortgage, I'm going to lean put. I'm going to lean the 17p. I like that. But I'm probably not going to get it myself. Nothing really going on tomorrow morning, so we don't have to look at any of those. But I would say that is pretty much it for today. So personally, my list is going to be the glob puts. I'm going to get a glob put. I'm also going to get the 55 call to strangle it. I'm going to get the Duolingo strangle that we talked about. Like I said, probably the 130 for next week, and the 100 for this week. So anyways, those are what we got in terms of earnings for this afternoon. If you hit any bangers off of this video yesterday, like and subscribe, share this on Twitter. Let's get as many people as we can getting EarningsLottos and hitting bangers with us. But I'm going to place my own trades. Best of luck tomorrow. I hope everyone gets some profit and hits a banger. I'll talk to you guys probably Monday or maybe over the weekend. But have a great Friday.